How's everybody doing? Who's ready to fire J.B. Pritzker? Who's tired of the corruption in Springfield and wants to lower that gas tax finally? My name's Joe DeBose. I'm Darren Bailey's communications director, and I've had the privilege to travel around the state with this man. And I'll tell you right now, there are fired up crowds everywhere we go. And that's because this man right here has a backbone a mile wide. And when nobody else would stand up for the people in this room and the businesses across this state, he did. There are other people in this race jumping in. They're throwing out lies. They're throwing out attacks. They're doing that because they're scared, they're behind, and they can't win without their lies. But I'll tell you right now why we will win this primary. Look around this room right now. The people in this room who are standing up are being multiplied across the state. We are building a grassroots movement that cannot be duplicated with money. It is won because we are capturing the hearts and minds of people across the state because Darren has a genuine conservative message. And they can have the money, but the truth and the work will make the difference. Yes. So without further ado, actually, hold on. Today I'm actually introducing another man who stood up against J.B. Pritzker and helped lead the lawsuit with Darren Bailey. He's running for Attorney General, Mr. Tom DeVore.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Darren, thank you for letting me stop by today. I really appreciate it. As last night, we did formally announce our run for Attorney General. You know, Darren probably has known me almost 2 years now, probably chuckled a little bit when he heard that. Guys, you know, what we're dealing with right now in this state and in this country goes to the bedrock principles of what we're all about. This is not about Democrat or Republican. This is about, are we going to govern ourselves the way that our founders intended us to govern? That is the most important thing. We are self-governed in this state and this nation, which means the people decide how we move forward. Yes. That means that an executive, a governor, does not get to make those decisions in a vacuum. The facts and science that nobody else has seen drives decisions that he makes that you're mandated. It's a word that doesn't even exist in the laws of this state or this nation. Mandate. That's stuff that came from England back when we shed ourselves of them. So 2 years ago when this started, and the governor started issuing his mandates because he wanted to keep all of you safe from, again, a virus we didn't know a lot about then, but under the guise of keeping us safe, he started eroding at those foundational principles. And so I decided for myself that somebody had to stand up for him. And who else but not that guy from the southern part of the state, that first generation college student that didn't have anything to lose. And I start looking, I don't need a client. Somebody who wants to sue this guy. And I get a phone call from Mr. Darren Bailey. I didn't know Darren. He knew a friend of mine that we had together. So Darren calls me and says, I hear you're looking for somebody to sue Governor Pritzker. I said, I am. And he says, I'm House Member Darren Bailey. And again, he's a couple hours from me. I didn't know who he was. And I'm like, he's like, you want to sit down and talk? And I'm like, okay. And I said, I have to let you know, sir, that I don't like politicians. And he says, that's okay. I'm not a big fan of them either. And so we met at my office in Greenville. And I showed up. I had my truck and trailer. And did I have my muck boots on, I think, Darren? And he shorts on. And I might have even had my red, white, and blue bandana, my do-rag. Because, again, and I say that jokingly, but I'm serious. And it's part of the reason that I'm running for office is because I don't have any desires to be a politician. People that are suited for these offices that will serve people well don't want it. Right? I am perfectly content doing what I'm doing, but I knew that I had an obligation to this state and to this country to help keep intact what got me from the streets of a trailer park to standing in a courtroom. And so Darren and I got together, and what do? We go off into Clay County and we sue Governor Pritzker. And we win. And you know what happened after that? Not much, right? Because people were still scared. Maybe most of you were scared still. And so Darren and I knew at that point in time that the way to win this fight against the erosion of our foundation was to get the people on board, right? Because when you got the power of the people, the courts become secondary. People say no, it's over, right? Darren and I knew that. And so here we go, fast forward 2 years. Darren is out here doing his thing. He's been doing it from the beginning, and I watch these other politicians now step up and want to run. I kind of chuckle. I'm going, where were you at in March 2020? But I digress. Darren can tell that story. So then we roll forward 2 years, and now we have, again, another court ruling on February 4th as it related to the children. What happened after the judge issued that ruling? Did the people stand in paralyzed state at that point in time? No. Boom, they were off to the races. In 200-plus school districts in 2 days went fully mask optional. 500 to 600 of them within a week went fully mask optional. It was over because the people had taken over. The courts then still important, but were not as important. The governor desperately asked the appellate court and the Supreme Court to step in and to really say, tell everybody I've got the power. Tell them I've got the power. And they both shut him down. They did. He's out here pontificating about, what was it, yesterday, that he was lifting the mandates. Guys, there was nothing to lift. I just got off the phone with someone from Chicago, a news agency, and I'm like, they asked me, well, he lifted the mandates yesterday. He didn't lift anything. Okay? I'm running for office for one simple reason, is to make sure that this never happens again. That's it. Because the Attorney General is first and foremost the attorney for the people. Governor second. And I know if you elect Mr. Bailey, you won't have to worry about it. But I can tell you, if you put me in the Attorney General's office, you're never going to have to worry about it. I don't care who the governor is. Because they'll have their hands full. And if President Biden wants to come to the state of Illinois with some of his mandates, well, we'll give him a little taste of it too. But first and foremost, you need a governor that's going to stand up for you when nobody else will. It's my privilege to introduce to you Mr. Darren Bailey.
Well, what an honor to be with you here today. And to that point, I can't imagine serving as governor with a current Attorney General. Because every time, every change that we try to make, you've got to realize we're going to be met with resistance. So much time, so much money is going to be wasted, and it should not be that way. I was shocked, actually, whenever I came up to when the lawsuit hit, and I saw that the Attorney General's office was indeed representing the was representing the governor. So I was amazed. I thought, well, I didn't think that's how this worked. But I thought he was supposed to be on our side. But indeed, that's not the way it was. So, friends, I can't tell you what this means to be here. This is awesome. Mike, are you here, Monsieur, the owner of the establishment? There, right back there. Give this guy a hand. Thank you. Thank you. Do you have the other pizza place on the other side of town as well? Is this something?
We have all the Godfathers.
You've got all the Godfathers. And the Do Chili's. Well, I'm going to apologize. Cindy and I have been by the Do Chili's, and I said, that looks like we've got to go there. When we were in high school at her hometown and we were dating, her former hometown had a Godfather's, and every time we come by here, it's like we've got to go in there because we'd always go to Godfather's, and I haven't had it since. So, and as you can tell, I don't miss much meals, especially with this journey. It's always in food places. Thank you. God bless you, and we will be back here. So thank you. just real quick, I do want to give a quick shout out. If you're running for office, who we got in here that is running for office? I want to make sure that just give your name real quick and just tell us what you're running for, so everybody knows. Rosanna.
13th Congressional District, Rosanna Polito.
Okay.
Precinct Committee Man.
Your name.
Oh, Robin Bartani.
Robin. Okay. Yes, sir.
Clear Lake.
I'm Matt Dubell running against Tammy Duckworth for United States Senate.
Okay. Awesome. Terry.
His lawyer.
I'm hanging up my reporter's hat. I'm running for the 13th Congressional District.
All right. All right. Dr. Lisa, where are you at? There you are.
I'm Dr. Lisa Smith. I'm running for the 96th Congressional House seat against Sue Shear.
That's a winnable seat. That's going to happen. That's awesome.
It will happen.
Anybody else? Well, I want to make sure that when you leave here today, if you haven't ever considered, as we have, and I didn't, I'm sorry. I have never been involved in politics like we should have been. My wife Cindy has been. I was too busy working, and Cindy would take our children when the congressmen and women and the presidents and governors would come through town. I'm like, no, those are people who are politicians, much like Tom said. They lie, cheat, and steal. I'm not going to have any part of that. Well, here we are, and God's turned this into a mission field for us. So make sure that this week that you stop by the county clerk's office and find out the positions that are available to run for, because at the bare minimum, the constitutional bedrock position is precinct committee person. 7 signatures and you're on the ballot, and you will have a say in rebuilding the Illinois Republican Party 30 days after the primary, and that is about as important as getting a J.B. Pritzker out of office, I can tell you that. So you can also ask to be a poll watcher or an election judge. My question to you is, are you concerned about election integrity? Yes. You should be. And sign up for an election judge and a poll watcher, because that's right there. A constitutional position. It's always existed, but it takes people and it takes some time watching the process. That's how we protect election integrity. So it's an absolute honor to be with you here today. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for desiring to restore Illinois. We're blessed to live here in the greatest state in this nation, the greatest country that the world has ever known. Our problems are not our people and our resources. We're a state full of immense resources and hardworking people. We've got everything that we need. Our problems are political elites who have sold out working families and taxpayers. The corruption in Springfield, and of course, a tyrant like J.B. Pritzker trying to control our lives and decimate our economy by pushing an extreme national agenda that simply doesn't work for our state. Friends, we were once the economic power engine of Illinois and of the Midwest. And when we win and fire J.B. Pritzker, we will be again. We'll get our state's economy running and growing again like it never has been before, because we know what it should look like now, and we know what doesn't work. But before I get into some of our plans to restore Illinois, I want to address a few of the lies and attacks that my opponents are pushing. If you see the lies and the attacks across social media and television, well, I'm going to tell you something. That's a good thing, because that means that they are scared and we are winning, and that's exactly what's happening. We're winning because of people just like you who show up and get involved. So to that point, I say thank you very much. The truth is, Richard Irvin is a career Democrat who won't say where he stands on major issues like the Second Amendment, life, and more. That's because he isn't a conservative. He's a liberal being handled by the same deceptive campaign team that helped deliver taxpayer-funded abortion and that made Illinois a sanctuary state. I want you to think about that a minute. Friends, we can't afford another 4 years of J.B. Pritzker. And even worse, we can't afford more liberal, much less successful version of Rauner. Friends, we need change. And I want you to do your homework on that and think about that. We need bold and conservative leadership to turn Illinois around. I am the only candidate in this race with a track record of standing up and fighting for you. You know, it is true. Back in the early days of March, when the 2 weeks to flatten the curve, remember that? And we didn't know what was coming, and we were worried, we were fearful, we were scared, but we're also a free people. And we knew something wasn't right. So I think most of us, for the most part, kind of hunkered down a little bit. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's see what's taking place. And we found out very quickly what was taking place. 2 weeks turned into 4 weeks, and now we're coming up on 2 years. Devastation to families, economies, schools, churches. So the idea was presented to me to sue the governor because I was really the only one. I mean, if something's not right, we take care of business, especially in my family, asking one of my 4 children. If something's not right, we deal with it. So here I am, an elected official, and it's just like, something's not right. What do we do? And the idea to sue the governor was presented to us. Friends, I've never sued anyone, and I've never been sued. And up to that point, the word lawsuit was much like the word politician. It just seemed like a kind of a dirty practice, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. But Cindy and I prayed, and we fasted just in a matter of a few days, and I realized, well, a lawsuit is a legal question to the proper authorities to get the answer that's needed. And so, yeah, I called around a few of my attorney friends, and I said, hey, what do you know about, what do you think about suing the governor? And they just like, I don't know anything about it. What are you thinking, Darren? And so I did. I went to our party in the House here. I went to our party in the Senate. I went to our party statewide, talked to the leaders. I said, what do we do? And they just met with resistance. We don't do anything. We just kind of sat back. And I'm like, no, I can't sit back any longer. This isn't any good. So talked to a few friends, and Tom DeVore's name was brought up, and the rest is history. So thank you for being the one person to stand up through all of this. The elites keep lying and spending their money to attack me. I'm not in this race to be popular, friends. I'm in this race to fix our broken system. I'm in this race for you, and I'm running to reform Springfield and stand up and fight for every forgotten person. And friends, you surely know by now, I will not back down. We're ready to take on Democrats and even the Republican establishment who have abandoned working families, taxpayers, and our values. I'm a lifelong Republican who has been standing for you and your freedoms since the beginning. I will continue standing for you and fighting against government mandates and standing for individual liberty. If I'm elected, I've often been asked what we will do on day one. Friends, day one's going to be a pretty amazing day because that's the first day that I truly get to working for you, all of Illinois. As the governor and Springfield stops trying to control people's lives, and we're going to start working to make them better. Here are a few things that we're going to do. We're going to demand and begin work on a zero-based budget where every department makes a case for every penny that is spent. Anybody read the last few budgets, 3,888 pages? It's impossible. There is so much waste, but you can't see it because it's hidden and covered up, and that's by design. We will always stand up and protect the right to life, free speech, and the Second Amendment. Day one agenda: stop taxpayer-funded abortion. It's needless. We will work with the legislature to get our economy growing again by cutting taxes for working families, eliminating Pritzker's gas tax, reducing regulations, and make it easier to invest, do business, and create good-paying jobs again right here in Illinois. We will improve schools across the state. We will promote school choice and begin to take back our children's education by removing Pritzker's mandates and extreme curriculums and returning the power to the parents and our duly elected school boards. And as Tom alluded, the power is already there, but I will give you that encouragement and the mechanisms and the modes and the advice to stand up and make sure that what took place these last 2 years never takes place again. It's time that we focus on our education, on preparing our children to chase their dreams and find success. We will restore respect and integrity to law enforcement and let the police know that they have a governor who has their back. It's time that we fought for safe communities for every Illinoisan. We will focus on lifting up working people and families, not the elites or special interests. It's time to hold politicians accountable start cleaning up Springfield, and remind them who they work for. Friends, we got a choice. We've had a choice for quite some time. We know how some people have already made their choice, but we can pack it up and leave Illinois like so many have already been forced to do, or we can stand together and we can fight for change. Cindy and I have chosen to stay and to fight for our home. We've built our family farm, our trucking business, and excavation business right here in Illinois, and we started Christian school here, and we were blessed to raise our family here. Friends, Illinois is where we want to watch our grandchildren grow up and thrive. Illinois is our home, and Illinois is the future to our children and grandchildren, and it is that important to us. We're so grateful for the thousands of people that we've met on the campaign trail, and the thousands more that stepped up and volunteered to help us reform Springfield and restore Illinois. We are not a campaign. We are a grassroots movement to give every forgotten community in Illinois a voice. The elites and their checkbooks, well, they created this mess. And it's time for working people like us to stand up, stand together, and fight back. With your help, we will win and restore Illinois. Friends, thank you so much on such a beautiful day to turn out, turn up, fill a room, stand for freedom, and support the restoration of this great state. And I look forward to this journey ahead, and I look forward to all of you being in your house in about a little over a year from now, just not too far from here. God bless you. Let's get to work. Let's get J.B. Pritzker out of office. Thank you.
Talked a lot about day one in the office in there. You got to ask, Governor Pritzker's had his fair share of policies he's passed over the last 4 years. I want to ask about one in particular, legalization of marijuana. What's your stance on that? Would you want to repeal that?
Probably wouldn't. Not the infrastructure and the system's already there. That's not a focus to repeal that. I did vote against it. I stood up and spoke against it, but the industry exists. It's there. We've just got to make sure that we focus to keep it the safest industry as possible.
What do you think? Do you think there needs to be any changes in particular to make that happen?
No, I think that we need to. If there was anything, probably a way to, test the like a drunk driver, the DUI. That's kind of difficult. So looking for if someone gets in an accident to be able to find out, have proof if they've been impaired from this or not. But otherwise, it seems to be an industry that's the state and especially the Illinois Department of Ag works very aggressively at to keep it safe.
It feels like June outside. We're not quite to the primary yet, but we're starting to get to the really close months here. I want to ask you about tax returns. What's your plan for tax returns? Are you going to be releasing all of them for the public to see or certain pages?
I don't feel like that's the public's. If we've got to, I don't feel like that's the public's business to know that. I feel that that's my business is my private a business, and I just don't see. I've never sought or demanded or saw the need for any public official to do that. So I have no intentions on doing that.
No pages at all?
No, I don't see the need for that.
There's been a lot of talk about Governor Pritzker's private business over this past week. Criticism of his blind trust with how he's been, how it had invested in a state contractor. Isn't that private business? Isn't that the people's business for somebody holding public office?
Well, that could be, for somebody holding public office to do something outside of the means of with a transaction like that. There's agencies that enforce and look into that, and I expect that the proper, Illinois Department of Revenue or whoever that might have the need to explore that, they can do that. There's laws to protect us of that, but that doesn't mean that I don't care what Governor Pritzker's financial dealings are. That's his business, and if he broke a law, then government agencies can go after that and figure that out.
Should the public not have as much of a right to those financial documents as one of those government agencies that would be investigating?
No, the public's. There's law, and that's the purpose of law.
Got two more questions.
You going to vote for Tom DeVore?
I don't know yet. Tom DeVore's a good friend. We've got, much like what you just said, it's the first day of March, and what's the old adage? In like a lamb and out like a lion, or vice versa. So we've got beautiful weather, and the end of the month we might expect adverse weather, and so it is. We've got a long journey ahead to the primary. So we're going to be having some conversations and finding out who we align with. Like Tom DeVore was my attorney. He was one of the first and only people that stood up when I was looking for someone to stand up and fight the fight. So I consider him a good friend.
I guess I'll do the last question. And then just last week, a lot of mask drama in the House on the House floor. You saw those rules are still in place for people to wear masks on the floor. You didn't stand up in the Senate. You didn't try to take an initial stand or stand with them in that way. Can I ask why?
Well, I did that. I was the first one that did that 2 years ago. You may remember I was kicked out of the General Assembly at the end of July of 2020. I feel like I made my point. That was to their point in the House. I love the way the Senate operates and functions. There seems to be a little bit of unity in there, and I didn't feel the need to disrupt that. They were sending a message in the House, and I let them send that message.
We have put out a statement on the Pritzker's dealings with the, because he made the campaign promise on the contractors, correct? So he broke a campaign promise. I think there may have been some confusion. It wasn't his personal tax return; it was a campaign promise, and he's using he's invested in a state agency, and then he's putting tax dollars into that agency, which personally benefits himself. So that's a little different than the other tax returns.
Saw the statement. Just wanted to ask him.
Yeah. So yeah, we have. So we don't feel that's the same as the personal statement.
And Darren will be submitting his statement of economic